All right, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? Are you allowed to climb Mount Everest halachically?
Why not? Why not?
Why yes?
No. Why not? No, if you ask, probably there is...
Because of the danger, because of danger.
Is climbing Mount Everest something dangerous?
It's like jumping out of a plane, no?
Well, is jumping out of a plane dangerous?
But I know... You know, Shimshon, he did it last month. That's why I'm so happy that it was last month and not this month. With his son and his son-in-law
Really?
and another Israeli, 4 of them, they climbed the Mount Everest. They didn't go till the top, but the last
I
camp.
think it's not anymore what it used to be.
They say it was hard, but it was
It's
bearable.
not, a lot more people are doing it. It's not like
When I
there
walk
are
around,
guides, and it's not anymore.
Yeah, they
what
have
it
with
used to
guide.
be.
They don't go
It's
by
like,
themselves.
right, and they have the equipment. And
Global warming.
But why would we, Yoni, because it's...
Well, I'm asking about dangerous.
As any mountain, not all.
Did he wear a mask? Because when I walk sometimes in Poway around Lake Poway and Mount
Thank you,
Woodson,
Julie.
there are people I see with masks on.
Because of the air?
And
No,
I
they
I
didn't.
stopped them. I said, "Why?" He said, "We're in training for Mount Everest."
Yeah, no, he didn't.
I didn't
he didn't.
understand why,
But
but-
there is a sickness that you get because you go up. So
Yeah.
each one of them got it at different stage. But they could,
Altitude.
yeah, they just couldn't eat, and they couldn't function normally. But they still did everything.
So the question is, according to halakha, are you allowed to put yourself into danger?
No. No, it couldn't.
The normal answer will be no.
Well, who determines what danger is?
What is considered dangerous?
That your life in jeopardy.
A life-threatening situation. Dangerous could be very relative. My wife and we got married on this argument. I by nature don't like to take risks. I'm not a daring person. I don't have any desire to climb Mount Everest. I don't even want, if I want to see the top, I'll watch it on an IMAX video. I'm a very, very boring person. What she calls bold and adventurous, I say is stupid and useless. And we have this this argument.
All right, she could travel with me.
Okay, good.
You could stay home with Bill because he's like
My wife and I have been discussing recently if it's okay to hang glide.
Oh, it's Himalaya.
And I say no. She says yes. And I said, okay, so call Rabbi Peretz. And she's been refusing to do it for the last few weeks because she doesn't want to call him. And it's the truth is that it's a question. Can you put yourself into danger in general? Forget for sports, forget for fun, just in general. Can you do something which is dangerous?
Well, depending on what you want to do.
I mean, everybody has to live their dream in their own life.
The question is, are you allowed to live your dream if it violates Jewish law?
My husband, my son and I had this discussion. My youngest one is 19, and before he had moved here to UCSD, he was in high school. Went with a bunch of boys to a place called Hermit Falls. Hermit Falls is where you climb up and you stand on a ledge, about 60 feet high, and you jump into the pool.
Oh.
So we said, we argued about this, and he was 18. I said, how do you know it's safe? He says, well, I'll let my friends go first, he said.
very humble of him.
So he went, and Baruch Hashem, the worst that happens is when he hit the water, he didn't go quite vertical, he got a little scrape on his knee, whatever. But I showed an article recently, there was a boy who got killed at Hermit Falls, jumping off the same ledge.
So when I was a dorm counselor in Israel, in Madrid, I had to do certain things, part of my job description. And part of them was going on trips with the boys in all kinds of places in Israel. I don't know if you know anything about Israeli hikes and things like that. They make American things look like jokes. I mean, here basically to go on a trail, it's paved, it has signs, it's wide. In Israel, you can go places and you wonder, the guy who put the pegs in there to climb down the side of the mountain, how did he do it? It's an incredible thing.
In South Africa, they don't do anything to tell you that it's dangerous.
And then you go with people, they're 16, 17, 18 years old, they're not trained in these things. And we were in this place called Midbar Yehuda, in the desert, the Judean desert. There's a place called Yehudia. It's that's exactly what it is. And it's a huge river that has a big waterfall, that drops into it's a gigantic valley. And the thing is, you climb all the way to the top of this waterfall, and to continue the trail, you have to jump off the waterfall into the river below.
And if you don't swim?
You got a problem. You're a problem.
Oh my
So
God,
they
I'm
told me,
dying.
You have problems, Daddy.
they told me at the staff meeting before we went that we were going to take this trip, and I have to come as a dorm counselor. So I told them that I don't believe that I could do such a thing. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not interested in it. It's part of your job description. I said, okay, was it safe? Told me, of course, we're going to be bringing a first aid medic with us. And if anything happens, there'll be somebody to take care of everyone.
That's comforting.
Wonderful. I said, if you have to bring a medic with you, then it's got to tell you that it's not a safe thing to do. No, everyone does it. We all did it. I told them that if I come to the waterfall and I don't feel that it's safe, I'm just going to walk back to the bus and wait in the air conditioning until they finish their trip. So we're hiking, we come to the waterfall, and I see that nobody's jumping off the cliffs. The state of Israel put in a lifeguard over there, and they built a ladder that goes from the top of the waterfall down to the waterfall, and you have to climb down the ladder. So I asked the guy over there, I said, why is there a ladder? Everyone used to jump. He said, oh, too many people died here, so we had to put in a ladder.
So at least you didn't have
I felt very validated, I have to tell you.
I hiked in En Gedi,
Yes.
and that was just fabulous.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That was really fun. We went
That's
pretty
very
pretty
beautiful.
high up. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not dangerous.
That wasn't
So
dangerous.
much.
No, that's
But,
okay.
and would you say that the Israel Trail, which goes all the way, the whole length of the country,
This is part of the
down
Israel
to-
Trail, by the way.
Yeah, down to a lot. I mean, how long does that take?
A long time, 6 months.
6 months to actually walk it? Well, it's not a day trip. Well,
They do it, there are some Israeli schools.
A long day.
yeah.
There
I
are
think
some
that would
Israeli
be
schools,
interesting.
at the last half of 12th grade, they do the whole trail from the top to the bottom.
איך קוראים לזה? מדן ועד אילת.
And they
Yeah.
just camp out? I mean, there's no
6
hostel
months
places?
in the field. You know, they're living like it's preparation for the army. So the question is like this: what if you are a window washer by trade,
It's going down.
and you get hired to work on a building
He's going to
that's 40 stories high, and it's dangerous? You know, in Israel, they just had somebody now who was a window washer, and one of the Arab workers on top snapped the ropes, and he killed 2 people who were washing the windows. And Israel has
Snapped the ropes intentionally?
yeah, he cut the ropes on them.
intentional.
So they have yet to determine if it's a terrorist attack. They're still not. They're not sure yet.
Excuse me. He cut the rope.
What happens is when Israel declares someone the victim of a terrorist attack, they have to take care of the family. So it costs the state of Israel a certain amount of money. So they take their time determining if something's a terrorist attack or not. So are you allowed to halachically be a window washer?
Wait, go
It's a
back
job.
to
You
that.
have to have a parnassa.
Are you allowed to have a dangerous parnassa?
That's what he's saying.
If you
Yeah.
are in the army, which you have to be, you know, so you're putting yourself in a dangerous position.
Oh,
So the thing is, I think it matters what the purpose is, and the purpose is you have to
There you go.
defend Israel.
the rabbis say exactly what Marlene just said. What is the purpose of putting yourself into danger?
What?
He knows that it's 11:03 and his mother's supposed to be home already.
Why put yourself in that?
What's the reason you're putting yourself into danger? Our rabbis say
Save life.
you're allowed to put yourself into danger for 2 reasons. To do a mitzvah, such as saving a life. Or give me an example of mitzvahs that would involve danger. Being in the army,
Going to the Himalayas.
maybe crossing dangerous territory to go free somebody from prison.
Being a parachuter.
Right, all of these things would be a mitzvah.
Those are
Or for a parnasa, for your livelihood.
very, very hard, you know.
If it's part of your livelihood, then you're allowed to put yourself into danger.
But let's say you're a skier, and you're not just a skier that goes on. You know, you've been skiing for years, and now you like the big Switzerland, complicated trails, etc. I would say, oh my God, that's dangerous. I mean, I don't go off the baby slopes, but somebody else likes the speed and the excitement and the twist and the curves,
They might be pros.
and they may be pros. So is that danger?
So we found the 2 exceptions.
יוני, הוא יכול לאכול את זה, נכון?
כן. We found the two exceptions.
Oh, that's better. Look at that. Much better. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is much better. Look at that.
We found the two exceptions
Much better.
for putting yourself in danger, and those two exceptions are
Thank you.
either for a mitzvah or for parnasah, for livelihood. So a window washer would be able to wash windows in a dangerous situation. Paulette brings up a good point. What determines danger, though?
Yes, who determines
Because
that?
maybe for me, doing something is dangerous because I don't know how to do it. But for the pro who does it all the time, it's not so dangerous.
No, but he had to learn to do it. So he went through danger before he got there.
Very interesting.
Then once he's there, then it's a different story.
So was he allowed to go through that dangerous process to train until he became a pro?
I think so.
Well, maybe it wasn't dangerous because it went in stages.
Yes, it's incremental.
Right.
I'll tell you, putting yourself in danger. What kind of mitzvah is it? A rabbinic mitzvah or a biblical mitzvah? Not putting yourself into danger.
Is it rabbinic?
Rabbinic.
No, the right side.
Keep off.
Do you know what the biblical source for taking care of yourself is? Not putting yourself in danger?
No.
Mashim. Keep off nefesh.
V'nishmartem me'od lenafshotechem. The Torah says you have to take exceeding care of your soul, of your body, of your physical self. And our rabbis understand from the word me'od, it doesn't just say take care of yourself, it says take exceeding care of yourself. Our rabbis learned from there that any kind of danger, even a minute danger, is not allowed.
He's so cute. It's unbelievable.
He's unedible. Look at that. Oh, he knows.
He knows, yes. Sorry, I can't help it. Oh, God, is he cute?
So even a minute danger is prohibited from the Torah. So let me ask you a question. We know, and I told you this before, if something is a doubt in a biblical mitzvah, and something's a doubt in a rabbinic mitzvah, for example, you go to the store, and you're not sure if the meat on the shelf is pork, or it's kosher beef, are you allowed to buy it or not?
No.
No.
But maybe it's kosher.
Doesn't
But
mean
you
it's
have
not
to
benefit.
So when in doubt,
You leave it alone.
in a biblical mitzvah,
Not
you don't touch it.
That's right.
But by a rabbinic prohibition, you would be able to be lenient.
Yes.
And so the question here is this a rabbinic mitzvah or a biblical mitzvah? It's a biblical mitzvah. So what if it's not really dangerous, but there's a chance that it could be dangerous?
So you shouldn't.
So are you allowed to do it?
No.
No, it follows the rule in the whole Torah is anything that is even a question of being dangerous, you're not allowed to do.
Why does everyone do it?
They didn't ask.
It's thrilling.
Now, here's an interesting question.
I mean, we know rabbis that jump out of planes, you know, paragliding, and even jumping out of a plane, you're not going alone. You're
Parachuting.
going
I
with
busy
the,
rabbis that go parachuting.
you're going with the,
So this question was asked to Rabbi Aviner, whose book I have in front of me.
Oh, yes.
And he asks, he was asked about, in Hebrew they call it snappeling. I think repelling they call it in English.
Repelling,
You know what I'm
yes.
talking about?
Yes, I know what repelling is.
Like jump off the
Oh my
sides of
God.
mountains attached to cables.
And they repel all the way down
Yeah.
into the cave,
Oh,
yes.
my God.
I did that.
My wife does stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
היא לא נראית כזאת.
they jumped down, say that again, they jumped down into a cave.
I said no.
They go to the top of a mountain, like a flat mountainside, where if you would jump off on your own, you'd be like that goat that they sent to Azazel. And they have cables they're attached to, and they like go
They
down the
repel
side of the
down.
mountain, they repel
Correct.
down, and there's someone up there who's holding their cables, and
That's correct.
they go, and hopefully nobody's cutting them.
That's right. That is
That's okay, I think.
So Rabbi Aviner was asked, is it dangerous? He says, well, really many people do it all the time. Nothing happens to them.
yes.
It's still dangerous.
And so Rabbi Aviner said, it's still dangerous. So how do you
Correct.
prove that it's dangerous? He said the amount of insurance that someone has to pay to do such a thing.
That's right.
The insurance that the company pays to let people repel shows you how high of a danger it is. And therefore you would not be allowed to do it according to halakha unless it's for something like the army or something that is a life-saving purpose. That's even an interesting question. Are you allowed to put yourself in danger to save someone else's life?
Even in the army, yes.
Yeah.
Well, not all rabbis agree.
Somebody's shooting at you, you have to shoot back.
Because you have two interesting halachot that seem to contradict each other in the Torah. The Torah says, Al ta'amod al dam recha. Do not stand idly by the blood of your fellow. Meaning, what does that mean?
If somebody needs your help, if somebody gets hurt,
If you
or
see
is
someone
threatened or something
being
like
right,
that.
if you see someone being in a dangerous situation, you can't just stand and say, "Oh, I don't want to get involved." By the other day, someone sent me a social experiment they did like this, where somebody was getting raped or mugged, and nobody got involved. Hundreds of people walking by, and no
Happened to me
child
with
being
helping
abducted,
somebody with epilepsy.
and hundreds of people walking by, and nobody
And
helps.
everybody screamed and shouted.
New York City, remember?
Yes.
In that apartment building
Yes.
where everybody watched
Yes.
Right.
their windows. That
Yes.
was a long time ago, early 70s. You were still living there.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So here they had recently something where everybody was filming them on their phone, but they didn't actually, no one got involved. So the police had hundreds of videos of what happened, but not one person stepped in to help.
זה שדחפו לרכבת או משהו?
Also with the right, yeah, that was by the subway. I mean, someone pushed someone else onto the subway tracks in New
That's
York.
right.
Now, and everyone filmed it, but nobody went in to help the guy
That's
get out of the
exactly
subway
right.
tracks.
It was in Philadelphia.
It was in
on the
Philly, yeah.
subway. It was
Okay.
Philadelphia and the main station on 30th Street Station. And everybody ran away.
So in Judaism, you're not allowed to. Lo ta'amod al dam recha. You see somebody in a dangerous situation, you have to go help them. On the other hand, there's a different rule, and the rule is chayecha kodmin. You have a rule that your life comes first. What does it mean your life comes first?
That you don't put your life in danger to help somebody else.
Right, it means you have to save yourself or save somebody else. Kind of like what they tell you in the airplane.
I was
Make
just
sure
gonna say
that you have your oxygen mask on before you help somebody else. That's a halakha.
But so with the subway situation, if you jump after them, if the train comes, you won't.
Right, so
that's like, I mean, to stand there and take pictures is also ridiculous. Call somebody.
it seems there was enough time there to actually get in and out.
The thing on the plane always bothered me. If my child is sitting next to me, how could I not help him first? But you really have to help yourself.
The halakha is to help yourself first.
Back to the
The
window.
problem is you help him and
Yeah.
you can't help yourself.
Well, if you don't have a mask on, you can't help your child, but that's not the normal.
We want to let them ride this
You
one
want to
out.
help your child
Hopefully we'll
first.
never be in this
That's right.
situation.
There was a story about window washers that dressed up like Batman and Superman, and they went outside of Children's Hospital and they were cleaning the windows.
Oh, I saw that, yes.
Outside the windows.
Yes.
So that kind of puts a different slant on it.
Yeah, you're right, I did see that.
Children's Hospital here.
Yeah, somewhere in New York. I don't remember.
There's a Gemara on Masechet Bava Kama. It's one of the hardest pieces of Talmud that I've ever learned. Two people are traveling in the desert, and they only have one jug of water. And they have at least another day's journey till they get to anywhere where there's a population of people. And there's only enough water for one of them to survive to make it to the next place. Meaning if they both drink, if they share the water, they're both going to die. So do they both drink and live for as long as they can? Or does one of them drink and let the other one die?
I say they both drink, both die together.
And I would give the water to the other person. I couldn't do that. I'd rather die than let the other person suffer.
No, I'm saying both of us together should.
I couldn't do that.
Oh,
I'd
you
want
would say
the
let
other
them
person
go, let them go.
right mind.
You're not there, you don't know. But that's what it
Well,
is.
it's kind of like Masada, isn't it? A little bit like Masada. We'll all die. We'll all die
Well,
together.
Masada is an interesting halakha question. Were they allowed to do what they did?
They did.
Rabbi Goren has an interesting piece about that. No, different Rabbi Goren. So, the halakha is that one person drinks, and the other one dies.
Rather than two, one makes sense. But it's difficult.
Who makes the decision?
They make the decision.
They have to make the decision?
Now, it's even worse. What if one of them has the water? If one of them has the water, he's not even allowed to give the water over. He must take care of himself first. That's the halakha.
What happened if they brought the water together and they shared the water all
They
the
would
time?
both die. I mean, neither of them would make it to where they go, where they need to go.
She's saying something. She's saying
Interesting.
they started off. You're saying they
Yeah.
started off that way.
But then one of them has to
Possesses it.
decide.
Now, there are different opinions in the Talmud on this. Some say that it's not certain that you will die. And so, maybe you do have an obligation to give him the water because he will definitely be saved if you give him the water. Where it's not certain that you'll die, you're not sure, so you have to help him out first. There's all kinds of opinions about this, but suffice it to say, is climbing Mount Everest allowed according to halakha? The answer is no. There's no reason for pleasure to be able to go into a dangerous situation. What defines danger? Even a minuscule amount of danger is enough that a person can't do it.
But all these people who are there now in Nepal, I'm sure they didn't plan on all climb Mount Everest.
No,
Like
I'm not
Israelis.
telling about the people there
No,
that are all
just-
doing something wrong.
no,
I'm just
but they-
discussing the question
They
in
just
general.
left Nepal.
But I think it's the danger
I have
is
we
still
I have a friend
subjective.
who's there in Nepal and just contacted everyone yesterday. So
Said he's okay.
The
yeah.
Chabad is doing an amazing
The
job. there.
earthquake was in the Everest. It wasn't
Huh?
everywhere
All
in
over the
Nepal.
place.
Like
Right, right.
Kathmandu is 80
Everybody
kilometers
sent
away.
money,
They say
everybody
it's
sent
okay.
money.
The
Right.
problem is the
Absolutely,
airport
Chabad
and
here in San Diego
the...
is collecting too.
And they're
You're out
after
in
shocks
rural
and stuff
areas.
like that.
But
I've
still,
got you to come in.
subjectively.
No.
It's really hard to say.
No.
Subjectively, I go on walking trails that I have girlfriends that say, "Oh, it's not safe. A snake might get you."
Anybody to
You know what I'm saying?
I walk in Brooklyn and people say, how can you walk
Yeah, how
down
do you
that
walk there?
block?
It's not
Are you
safe.
crazy?
Exactly.
But if
So
you walk on
there's
a
a
trail
certain
and
amount.
a snake comes, and you see these snakes.
It's a certain amount of subjectiveness.
Yes.
There really is.
There is no end because everywhere you go, it can something happen and dangerous.
Exactly.
So you stop living. No, but we're talking on experience.
Reasonable suspicion of
Really
And here's where you have to see the other side of the coin, which is how much the Torah values a person's life. There's no excuse for driving without a seatbelt. People get in car accidents and seatbelts save something like 60% of people's lives. If you put someone in a situation where they have a seatbelt and they don't have a seatbelt, it's an absolutely ridiculous thing for someone to get in a car and not have a seatbelt. I had this fight with my brothers-in-law over the Pesach. In New York, the law is that people sitting in the back seat don't have to wear a seatbelt.
Oh, that's oh no.
That's still the law.
Yeah.
So long as you're sitting in the back, you don't have to wear a seatbelt.
All right.
Taxi cab.
And so I got in my car and I said, please put on your seatbelt. Oh, we're sitting in the back. And I said, yeah, I don't care if you're sitting in the back.
that's on the law here. Well, you have that.
You have to put on your seatbelt. That's the law here. They're trying to make you fun of the law here. Yeah.
Last 2 years ago, we lost two beautiful little students of ours at an elementary school. I don't know if you heard about that big accident way up by Julian. On the way to Julian, it was a van that overturned, and the mother and their mother. It was just tragic. The first day of school, I showed up and everybody's crying because they didn't have enough seatbelts for all the kids, or they weren't wearing them in the back seat.
It's so, meaning according to safety
it's a law
laws,
in California. They have
it doesn't
to.
make the back seat is not any safer than anywhere else to not wear a seatbelt.
Right.
They say
I'm sure that once upon a time it was the law in California too and changed. California, in a good way and in a bad way, is very much on the cutting edge of safety, of environmental stuff. Sometimes I think that they take things a little too far. But places like New York, which are a little bit old school in nature, they take a long time till they change and they adjust to the things that are coming out now. And I told them, I don't care what you think or you don't think, here's the law and I'm not going to get a ticket for you. And every time I got in the car, it was a slap with them.
but it's nothing to do with the law, it's your safety.
They say they don't care.
Telling everyone that going to the car.
So when I was in New York, I'll tell you, when I was in New York, it was even worse. Because when I was in New York, we rented a minivan. Why did we rent a minivan? It's 3 of us. A minivan was cheaper than a compact car for some reason. I guess people don't want to pay gas. So
That's true.
I took a minivan. It's all safer to drive a bigger car. And we were giving people rides. A lot of the people in my wife's family don't have cars. So, we were going somewhere. You want to come with us? And every time someone got in the car, I said, can you please put on your seatbelt? He said, oh, but we're in New York. We don't have to. I said, I don't care what the law is here. In my car, it became like a joke. Like, oh yeah, we're going to go in their car. We have to put on a seatbelt. But it scares me how many people drive without seatbelts on, and then what happens? God forbid someone dies, and then we start, Hashem, why did He do this? And how could He do this to us? But we have a certain responsibility for ourselves. How safe are we going to be? Speeding on the freeway. I see people sometimes driving 90 miles an hour past me. It's a crazy thing. And so you're going to get somewhere 20 seconds faster than everybody else? 20 seconds is worth putting your life 100% more in danger?
That's what I tell my grandson all the time. You're going to speed, you'll get there, somebody will get there a minute later, earlier. Does that make sense? Yeah.
When Ford invented the first car, Rav Kook heard about it in Jerusalem. And Rav Kook put his head down on the table, and he started crying. And so what happened? And so Rav Kook said, look at the human beings. They've invented another way to kill more people. That was his reaction to the invention of a car. And I think a little bit of an extreme reaction. That's not the only thing that's come out of a car. If we didn't have cars, we wouldn't get anywhere.
What do you think of the drones that are coming? Because that's not going to be good.
But it's something to think about. Safety. Safety is a very important thing. And there's nothing you can do that's too much safety. There's never too much you can do. So if you do it, it's good, it's better, it's bad. In Israel, you always have this problem of babies falling out of the windows.
Oh!
On second floors, third floors, fourth floors.
Really?
There's a halakha in the Torah. The halakha says that when you have anything past the first floor, you have to have a fence. Like if you have a rooftop, you have to put a ma'akeh. It's in the same laws of mezuzah, you have the laws of ma'akeh. You have to put a fence on top of your roof. And the Torah says, why? So blood shouldn't be on your hands, that if people are on your roof, they'll fall off. Now in America, we don't really know what this means, but in Israel and in Mediterranean culture, the roof is just another floor of the house. It's flat, it's open, people do barbecues up there, they do parties up there, and very often, it's a few flights up, and people can fall off, and there's a mitzvah from the Torah to put up a fence. It's actually a blessing you make when you put on that fence. Putting on, if you have windows that can open and a child can reach them, and God forbid lean on a screen, halakha would dictate that you have to put some kind of railing or some kind of bars on those windows.
It makes a lot of sense.
We don't have excuses.
Your windows.
We don't have excuses for not being safe about these things. And a person has to be very careful. As much as possible, being safe is a mitzvah from the Torah. It's like eating meat and milk. It's like not having pig. It's one of those mitzvahs that come from the Torah. It's like food on Yom Kippur. It's like chametz on Pesach. Being safe. Whatever you can do to be safe, do it. It's an important mitzvah.
Why do the people allow their school buses to not have seatbelts for kids?
Right, they don't.
I remember as a kid, when I used to get on a school bus, and it wasn't like my wife took a school bus every day to school. Here we're spoiled. Our parents drive us to school, they pick us up from school. So we only took school buses on field trips. And it was a very big educational clash. Where every time you get in the car, your parents say, fasten your seatbelt. Yeah. And then we get on a school bus, and you don't have to put on a seatbelt. And it didn't make sense in our head as children. It doesn't make sense why in a school bus you don't have to put on a seatbelt. And now it could be that school buses, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. It could be that they're safer. That if a school bus gets in a car accident...
School buses are old.
They're starting to, the new ones have.
They have seatbelts, yeah?
They should have seatbelts, yeah.
Okay, it's good to know. Baruch Hashem.
So I want to go back to Nepal for a second.
Let's talk about Nepal for a
So
second.
of the Israelis that are there, what percentage of them do you think are Orthodox, halachically, pay attention to?
Very few.
I would
think
say
so.
very few
I don't think so.
that go around India.
There's a religious Zionist camp in Israel that's just as adventurous as any other the other Israelis after the army post. It could be 30% of the people.
Look, it's kasher to have kosher meat and stuff like that, so these places.
My student that's there is religious, and he went with the whole group of religious boys. So they might not be Hasidic with stramos, they're not climbing up, but they're religious. I don't know. And do they ask? No. In being in Israel, it's part like adventurous part of your life. You kind of get immune to things that are scary. Rockets fall, wars happen.
In Passover, there is lots of people in Chol HaMoed go for hiking, and 3 die from hiking. 1 fell and 3.
Every year in
In
Israel.
Israel, you mean? Yeah.
Every Chol HaMoed, either
People
Sukkot
drown in the
or
Kinneret,
Pesach,
and then
always dead.
it's always.
And it's as much as they take precaution, always something happen, unfortunately.
We just had now in England a yeshiva boy drowned. They had a heat wave, so they encouraged everyone to go swim. So they went to a local lake, and these boys were swimming, and one of the boys drowned. 19 years old, didn't know how to swim. But there's a halakha. The halakha in the Torah is that you must teach your children to swim. The father is not allowed to. He's not fulfilled his obligation of raising his child unless he teaches his child how to swim. It's one of the basic halachot of Jewish law.
I was speaking with a young man, friend of my son's, who very, very bright. He majored in philosophy, and he said human beings have a tendency to want to hurt themselves. And I didn't get it right away, but maybe we do.
I think human beings, in my experience, human beings have the opposite tendency to try to stay away from getting hurt.
I don't think it's a matter of getting hurt. I think there's something thrilling about
It's thrilling.
It's thrilling to do things.
There's
and
an
you don't
adrenaline
think
rush.
that-
There's a sense of accomplishment. There's a lot of things that could go in there.
I don't think it's that you do it in order to get hurt. You don't think you're going to get hurt. You're convinced you're not going to get hurt.
Anybody who wants a thrill can go join the Israeli army. They'll be doing something useful, and they'll be in a very adrenaline rush kind of situation.